Today, we're going to look up at the sky and completely flip a fundamental truth about our universe right on its head. It's something so incredibly basic, you probably experience it every single day without even a second thought. We're talking about the universal spin and the frankly mind-blowing story of how sheer, untamed cosmic chaos created the beautiful celestial order we see today. Let's just dive right into it. So let's start with the most obvious everyday phenomenon right here at home. The Earth rotates. It spins once a day, and that's exactly what gives us our predictable rhythm of day and night. But, think about this for a second. It didn't have to be this way. The Earth could have hypothetically just hung there in the pitch darkness of space, completely motionless. We could have had one side forever baking in the sun and the other just frozen solid in perpetual night. Yet it spins. And it's definitely not just us. The moon rotates too, but it does something even more specific, which is pretty cool. The moon perfectly matches its rotation around its own axis to its exact orbit around the Earth. It takes the exact same amount of time for both, and that is the precise reason why we only ever see one side of it when we're looking up from our backyards. But here is where the sheer scale of this becomes totally undeniable. The sun rotates, and bizarrely, because it's essentially a massive ball of gas, it actually spins faster at its equator than at its poles. That would be literally impossible for a solid sphere. Asteroids spin. Even individual microscopic dust grains tumbling through the vacuum of space are rotating. Entire binary star systems don't just orbit each other, they're spinning on their own axes while doing it. Even black holes spin, and some are doing it almost at the speed of light. There's just no way around it. When you see this phenomenon everywhere, you realize rotation isn't just common, it is practically universal. Pure coincidence? Absolutely not. Section 2. The scale of rotation, from dust to galaxies. Let's zoom out for a second and look at how crazy this scale really is. We start with just a tiny dust grain tumbling randomly out there in the void. Move up a step, and you have a massive planet spinning predictably on an axis. Go even larger, and a whole star system rotates together as this cohesive unit. Then zoom out to the grandest scale imaginable, entire galaxies. These are massive structures containing billions of stars, all majestically spinning around a central core. From microscopic specks to mind-bogglingly huge galactic neighborhoods, the pattern literally never stops. And just to really hammer home how extreme this can get, 700. In the most intense cosmic environments, neutron stars, which are these super dense, collapsed remnants of exploded stars, can spin hundreds of times per second. Some clock in at over 700 revolutions per second. Just imagine that for a second. An object significantly heavier than our entire sun, spinning faster than the blades of your kitchen blender. It is absolutely staggering. Section 3. The myth of perfect symmetry. Why standstill is an illusion. So, to understand why everything spins, we actually have to look at what it would take for something to not spin. You would need perfect symmetry. And by that, I mean a truly exact uniformity without any deviation whatsoever. But here is the big secret of the universe. That is an incredibly rare, practically impossible state in nature. The perfect conditions required for complete dead stillness, they simply do not exist. Imagine the impossible idea for a moment, a perfectly symmetrical, completely uniform gas cloud. If this actually existed, it would slowly collapse straight inward under its own gravity to a perfect dead standstill. But in reality, real gas clouds are vastly irregular. They have tiny density imbalances. A little more matter over here, a little less over there. They have slight movements and wildly uneven pockets. The universe is incredibly messy, and it's exactly this messiness that absolutely guarantees movement. Section 4. From chaos to order. How gravity builds momentum. Right, so here is the true astrophysical engine of creation. Step 1. Gravity causes these huge, chaotic, uneven gas clouds to slowly contract. Step 2 is where the magic really happens. As the massive cloud shrinks, those tiny, seemingly insignificant pre-existing movements we just talked about, They are forced closer together, and they actually begin to reinforce each other. And finally, step 3, a clear, highly ordered rotational movement is born. Out of a completely chaotic pile of slightly shifting matter, gravity acts as the ultimate catalyst. It takes those tiny microscopic deviations and amplifies them into a massive, organized galactic spin. It's literally chaos creating order. Now, if that astrophysics sounds just a little bit abstract, this analogy brings it perfectly down to earth. It works exactly like an ice skater who pulls in their arms and thereby spins faster. It's the law of conservation of angular momentum. The universe is essentially just a giant ice skater pulling its arms inward as gravity crushes a gas cloud down. Every single tiny rotational movement that existed in that sprawling, chaotic cloud automatically becomes exponentially faster and way more pronounced as it shrinks. Section 5, the frictionless void. Why the spinning never stops. Okay, so once this whole shebang starts spinning, why doesn't it ever stop? Well, the answer lies in a very simple, fundamental rule of physics. Rotational movement does not just disappear on its own, it requires a break. It physically needs something actively pushing against it to drain that kinetic energy and halt the motion. And out in the vastness of space, empty space has almost zero resistance. I mean, it's a vacuum. Therefore, there is absolutely nothing out there to act as a cosmic brake. No giant brake pads. This is exactly why the Earth has happily maintained its spin for billions of years without noticeably slowing down, because there's virtually no friction to stop it. Once an object in space is in motion, it pretty much stays in motion over mind-bogglingly long periods. Those ancient initial rotations forged in the chaotic gas clouds of the early universe, they are literally still preserved and spinning away right now. Section 6. Movement is the standard. Flipping our cosmic perspective. Let's look closely at how this plays out across the board. Planets start as contracting clouds of dust and gas, right? Well, the end result is they simply take over the cloud's inherited rotation. Stars, exact same thing. You have a massive contracting gas cloud, small chaotic movements reinforce each other, and boom, the finished star spins. Even black holes, which are formed from the violent collapse of dying stars, just take over the original star's pre-existing rotation. Despite vastly different materials, completely different sizes, and different time periods, the core process remains absolutely identical. They are all just inheriting that original, chaotic spin. Which leads us to this grand revelation, and it's a real perspective shifter. Rest is not the natural state. Movement, and especially rotation, is the standard. You see, as humans standing on seemingly solid ground, we instinctively think that standing completely still is normal and that movement is some kind of disturbance. But in the grand arena of the universe, it's the exact opposite. Absolute standstill is the incredibly unlikely, practically impossible exception. So I want to leave you with this final provocative thought. Knowing what you know now about the messy, chaotic origins of the universe and that incredible, frictionless void of space, the real question isn't why everything spins. The real question is, why would anything ever stand truly still? Next time you look up at the night sky or even just watch the sun go down, remember, you are riding on a continuous, ancient spin born from cosmic chaos. Thanks so much for joining me for this explainer, and keep questioning the universe around you.